You know what? I just finished another video of watching about technology. And right now, I am just floored because it is quite clear that we have been so thoroughly lied to and how we have been made to get to believing the lie. You know, there are videos out there. People are doing content about the world that is called Tartaria, which apparently they're showing pictorial evidence of different structures um, prior to the 1900s. You have in the 1800s, the 16, 1700s, where most of the technology was far more advanced and far more efficient than what we have now. And there was one video, I wish I could remember, I'm going to try to look for it, but there was one gentleman who was actually talking about all of the black towns that were built up after slavery, after I guess 1862, 65, when the Civil War ended, and where all these black towns sprung up. And there was something that he was talking about that, and then he went into uh, many of the buildings that are still around here. There are ancient architecture that the people, white people, have placed in like 1890s, 1900, 1910s, and how they were all abandoned. All these little towns that had just this wonderful, almost Grecian Roman, sturdy stone and iron buildings. Where, like, for here in California, we have the Capitol building. In Washington, you have the Washington Monument, you have the Washington buildings, and how they look different than all. I mean, their architecture is very ornate, and it's columns like the Egyptian type of columns. We have the Egyptian obelisk for Washington, D.C. You have granite and stone masonry, uh, versus what we have now, which is basically glass boxes that, stand straight up in the air. So, anyway, this particular video was about the heating system, um, the furnace. And this particular gentleman was speaking about, if you look at the symbols, they had the radiation symbol on the furnace itself. But these little small furnaces, they were ornate, they were beautifully sculpted, and you can see the artistry. But what he was proposing was that they were using radiation. They can use it in such a way that these little small objects that can literally fit in your corner of your house or in a closet can literally heat these vast monuments of stone. And in the another video that I saw last week, where I made the connection, or I quite possibly, the Most High had illuminated for me that um, the narrator kept saying all of these buildings or all of these towns. When you look at the ancient pictures from 1800, like 1880, 1891 or 92, 1901 or 1905, and you look at these pictures of these towns that were beautifully laid out, these buildings that were just massive, and the streets were clean, and the narrator kept saying, well, all these pictures, they're empty, there's like no one here. And the narrator at the very end was likening it to the fact that there had to be other beings, like outer worldly beings that were living here. And you know what the creator brought to my mind? He was like, no, no. Actually, it was actually your people. After they got out of released from slavery, they never forgot what they built. There were some of them that were released that that weren't separated from those who were the original architects of America. And what they did is that they built those towns. So when we got out of slavery, when we were emancipated, quote unquote, those buildings uh, were erected almost overnight. And what also was what the creators bring to my mind now is that whatever was underground, like when our ancestors were in battle with the Europeans and um, with Satan and with the demons, when they were in battle, I bet you a lot of the technology they buried underground, and 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 some of them, of course, went to death. Others went into slavery, never spoke anything about it. They probably also went into death, but they were able to transmit that information to the slaves who transmitted it to other slaves. There were ways that we would do our hair. There were ways that we would sing songs where we would back then 200 years ago, 300 years ago, we were able to still keep that information going, even though we were being split apart. And I bet you what happened was when emancipation came, we were able to reclaim all that information and probably reclaim some of that technology that was hidden. And thus we were able to rebuild almost overnight. And I can imagine that when regular scruffy white people, especially those that uh, came in through the Immigration Act of the early 1900s, when they said bring your huddled masses, it's because probably the people who were part of the antebellum slavery, who were white, saw that that black folks were literally overnight building these immaculate buildings or reclaiming them in areas that the frontiersmen had not been able to reach. And so yes, they probably brought reinforcements, and those people came here, didn't have any, could barely read and write, didn't, let alone mathematics or building anything worth building. That is probably what precipitated the burning of all of those black towns. And I don't think they were actually burning them as much they were executing the people, or excuse me, unaliving them or running them out of town, and then taking a picture of what they had so that they can send that around to other Europeans who were immigrating here and take it over. And that's why you see many of those wonderful architectural sites are empty, because it is post them burning out and literally decimating the population of slaves that were there who were recently emancipated. But my goodness, what this tells me is that once we get into New Jerusalem and we get a hold of all the gear, it's going to be like overnight that we will reclaim that past, and that the city is going to be so magnificent, because the enemies, the ones who have served Satan, they will be completely subdued, and their children and grandchildren won't be able to get to us. They will not be able to get to us. But I can only phantom what New Jerusalem is going to look like here in what is now called the United States. It is probably going to be something beyond the pale. I mean, just I know it says in the Bible that old men will begin to dream new dreams. That is a huge statement, because all of that technology that has been buried in us, that's in our blood cells, the creator of the universe, the angels, they're going to reawaken it. You know what? What's being brought to my mind right now? Oh my goodness. And this is going to sound outlandish, but I bet you it's true. If history is false right now, and the true history is going to blow our minds. I wouldn't be a bit surprised that some of the people that were here when Satan was going to take over the rule of his world was going to be completed around this planet. I wouldn't be a bit surprised if they already had those ships that are now floating in the sky, and they just got on. Some of them got on and got about off the planet, and now they're returning back home. That is something to consider. We may be actually looking at really advanced human beings that are up there. I mean, we're referring to them as UFOs and aliens, and it may be. I believe that there are angels that are inhabiting these different types of machinery. I also leave room for that. Some of the white folks have gotten a hold of the technology, but they don't have the jewels. They have the remnants, but they don't have like the stuff. But it wouldn't be a bit surprised. I wouldn't be a bit surprised if there are actually human beings, human black folks that once occupied America, North and South, that are coming back home. And if that is the case, oh my goodness, what is about to be unleashed and what is about to happen to us is going to be awesome. And so more to be revealed, and I just praise Yah. I praise the Most High that he has or she has given me this insight. And whatever insight that you all come up with to dream those new dreams, definitely do so, because there's so much that is already out here. And if we're open to it, the creator of the universe will allow that to come up for us. So we have an exciting time as descendants of slaves to look forward to. And it is here right now unfolding before us. My goodness, it's incredible. When I think about it, it is really incredible what is going to happen to us as a people. Thank you.